Hey y'all, and welcome back to Confessions of an Autism Mom, where we keep it real and raw. I am Amanda. If you are a returning subscriber, welcome. And I have missed you all. And if you are new here, welcome. As I said, we keep it raw and real over here. And basically, we talk all things autism. It can be a daily vlog, it can be a podcast episode. I can have some guests on here, and we're just going back and forth talking about our feelings as moms, how we are overstimulated, how we didn't get enough sleep, all of that different stuff that comes with being an autism mom. And if you like the way that sound, make sure you subscribe or share my channel with someone that you may think will find it useful. So yes, let's go ahead and hop on into today. So what I want to start doing what I came up with called TikTok Talks. And I just want to pull different videos that I see on TikTok that's related to autism and I have an opinion about. And I think this is just a fun way to get our feelings out because we all relate some kind of way, one way or another. I may agree, I may disagree. You just never know. But I think it's important as a mom that has a channel called Confessions, like to say how I truly feel. So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and hop on into that today with the topic about daycares. And if you have been keeping up on TikTok, you know it has been a recent incident with the baby that was unalived. And we're gonna talk about it because I did have a very bad daycare experience with Aiden. And I'm glad I listened to my gut feeling because everything that I thought and that I was told eventually came out that it was true. So let's go ahead and hop on in today's episode. So, what I want to talk about today really hits home for me because it is pertaining to Conrad Ashcraft, the young baby in Missouri who recently was unalived by one of the daycare teachers. Um, I am a strong believer that daycares are not for our babies. If you have a child on the spectrum, that baby does not need to be in. Oh, I can't talk. That baby don't need to be in daycare. Period. Like nobody can ever tell me otherwise. And it's only one daycare that I would trust with my baby, and she was open when I was a baby, and she ain't open no more. That's probably the only person I would trust with my child on the spectrum or any special needs kid. My friend, I call her the state lady. She calls herself that too, but she even say daycares are not for our kids, and for so many reasons. And we'll go through with it, and we'll go through it, and we'll talk about it. I had a horrible experience with two different daycares for Aiden, and at that moment, I realized that daycare wasn't for us. And it wasn't for him. And that's when I identified that something was going on with my baby. So before we hop into Conrad's, I'm going to give you a background of what we went through. So when Aiden started going to daycare, Aiden may have been like 17, 18 months old. And y'all, they complained about everything. When I say I was getting a form, basically, like I understood the part about how many times he went to the restroom, when he pooped, things like that. But they would say, oh, he was pulling on this or he was doing that and he can't be around the other kids. It was just always something. This is when I found out, like, okay, he didn't have body awareness. And he would walk over to other kids. But Aiden was the oldest kid in the room. Like I say, he was like 17 months old. And Aiden was tall at that age. Okay. So he was in a class with 1-year-olds, which isn't far from him. Actually, I don't even think they were one, if you want me to be quite honest. I think she said they were like 6 months, 8 months. One baby was like 12 weeks old, and they would have to keep him in a playpen, y'all, while the other kids played. He would have to eat separately. Like they told me this. And me being a mom, like first time mom, I'm like, okay, I get it. The babies are, way younger. But when I thought about it, I was like, well, why can't he be in the classroom with the 2-year-old? Like he was old, he was big enough, he was tall enough. And so after a while, I started getting these notes, like I say, and they were behavior notes. And I was like, he's a baby. Like, y'all gotta chill on my kid. So I finally went to the director. I said, is it an issue with my child? That's what I asked her. I said, because I don't understand why my 17, 18-month-old baby is getting these forms with behavior issues and what he did and all of that. So that was the first clue of autism for me, because I went to asking questions. And so the daycare owner, she was like, oh yeah, he reminds me of my son. My son has Asperger's. And I'm like, girl, what is that? Because I don't know. Well, it's nothing bad. Because she was like, my son helps out with kids here. He's in college. Da 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 da. And I was like, what does that mean for my baby? And she just was like, well, at this moment, he has to be in a playpen because he runs into the other kids. If you have a kid on the spectrum, that's body awareness. He had no body awareness. Everything was like an object to him. Like he would run into it, and it was okay that he was running into it. So she would tell me this, and I'm like, so y'all got my baby in the crib? Like he just in there by himself. Y'all already isolated him. I was like, bet. I took him out of that particular daycare. So she called me and she was like, well, why did you not bring him? And I was like, well, y'all not going to have my baby in a crib when you can put him in there with the 2-year-old. So her response was, well, we're not changing the price because he's going with the 2-year-old. I tell her, I don't want you to change the price. I want my baby to be comfortable and accepted and be able to be around his peers. And that conversation alone, I was like, he won't be going back to daycare. So at this point, y'all, I was out of work because this was the start of me not being able to have anywhere for my baby to go. And autism was pretty much like in my head, and I was working on getting him tested or whatever. And actually, let me take that age back. He may have been 15. He may have been between 11 and 15 months, because he had not had his the second series of injections. I forgot the age. I stopped keeping up with it, the vaccines, because I remember he had to get caught up for the second daycare that we picked. So yeah, I pulled him out. I found another daycare. The prices were reasonable. They had really good reviews, but when I thought about it later, it was this one review on there, and it said, if you have a special needs child, this is not the daycare for your child. And they gave him a 1-star. Mind y'all, I had not gotten Aiden tested for autism or anything, right? And so I took a chance with the daycare. I felt safe. Come to find out, I also knew the owner from the past. When I first moved here to Atlanta, he was a friend of mine. I hung out with him a couple of times, and it was his daycare or whatnot. And so I'm like, okay, my baby is safe. We have a safe space. It's not like special treatment or anything to it. None of that. I don't want that. I just want my baby to be treated fairly. So, y'all, we get into like maybe the first month he was good. The second month, they're like, oh, Aiden is a wild boy. And I'm like, he's a boy, he's a toddler, let him play, let him be free. Da 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 da. Okay, cool. So I noticed that Aiden was very attached to this one teacher. Hey, Miss Connie, love her down. Still love her to this day. Aiden was always with her. If she wasn't there, he was crying. If this lady did not come and pick my baby up from the front door, Aiden was crying. And it was nothing I could do about it. And it was days if she wasn't there, I wouldn't even let him go in there because I'm like, what's the issue? Like, why is my baby crying? And then it got to a point, even with her, he would cry with her. And I was like, what's going on here? And then that's when they was telling me, oh, Aiden runs into the kids. We have to keep him in the high chair. Keep this high chair in mind for him to eat because he goes and snatches kids' food. So we have to keep him in the high chair or he won't sit still. Da 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 da. Just like my baby was a problem, y'all. So I asked the director of the daycare. Autism still on my mind because I looked up what Asperger was. I said, do you think my baby has autism? And she was like, I don't believe in labels. Thank God I'm not dumb, naive, or a sucker. Because if I would have listened to her, I would have never gotten Aiden tested. She was like, Aiden is just active. She said he was different. And I was like, okay, that's how I kind of looked at her. I was like, okay, because I know there's something going on with Aiden. So Miss Connie leaves. And Miss Connie says to me, they keep Aiden in the high chair all day if I'm not there. And I was like, well, Miss Connie, why you ain't been telling me this? Mind you, I still like Miss Connie a lot. She was like, they be having your baby in the high chair all the time. And I was like, why is my child in the high chair all the time? I said, I noticed when I pick him up, he's in the high chair, but I kind of like if he's wilding and y'all have just had snacks, like I get it, And she was like, I'm the only one that's patient with him. I'm the only one that'll work on his ABCs and his numbers and just different things like that. She was like, they get so irritated with him. So at this point, I stopped taking him so much. Like we would probably go 1 or 2 days out of the week when I just really needed to go. And at the time I was doing like lashes, Uber, like I was hustling. So I would have to take him if I needed to go and make that money or whatever, or if I had a lot of clients that day. And so I went just randomly one day and I was like, where's Aiden? And I peeped in the room and he was in the high chair, just like Miss Connie said he was gonna be. And I asked her, I said, why is Aiden in the high chair? She was like, because we just had snacks. It was always they just had snacks or they just ate. So boom, I was like, okay, cool. So then this other teacher came in. She was like helping with him. She was so loving to my baby, and I was like, okay, cool. We can go every day. Come to find out, the lady didn't work there anymore. I don't know why she quit, but I had to kind of get back to work, and I had actually got a job at a hospital, so I had to work, y'all. I couldn't just have him with me in training and on video and stuff like that. So, y'all, every day they were like, oh, can you bring him some fresh clothes? And I would get clothes in a bag of him, like of his clothes and urine, right? And I was like, when Miss Connie was here, Pepper was always clean. Like, what is going on to the point that my baby is always peeing in your like? Why is he always peeing on himself? And they was like, well, you should be glad we keeping him changed. No, why is my baby always wet? And moms, think about this. We know that diapers hold, right? But if you just not changing them and you're just letting them urinate in the same wet pamper, it's gonna seep through the clothes, right? So off rip, it went through my head about the high chair. And I said, oh, y'all ain't paying my baby no attention to the point that y'all let him pee on himself. So then I called the owner. Mind y'all, like I told y'all, I knew him from the past. I was like, of course he's gonna protect his daycare. He gonna tell me, well, they said that they changed Aiden. I said they changed him to the point where I'm changing clothes every day. One incident a week, I'm cool with, but y'all, I was taking changing clothes daily. And as a mom, if somebody tells you, oh, they got your baby in a high chair all the time, you automatically gonna be like, oh, y'all got my baby in a high chair to the point y'all ain't changing his pampers. And that's what was happening, y'all. My baby was wet every day. So that already was like WTF, like what's really going on in this building, because don't ever play on my top like that when it comes to my child. So I had a meeting with everybody. Y'all, they tried to gaslight me, tried to manipulate me, and just be like, well, you should really be glad that we're watching him and we're changing his clothes, because he could be in them wet clothes all day. Baby, the clothes shouldn't even be wet. The clothes should not be wet. Why y'all got him in the high chair? I said, Miss Connie, my job, Miss Connie quit. I said, Miss Connie told me y'all keep my baby in the high chair all the time. And she was like, no, we don't. She used to keep him in the high chair. I said, well, I need to see a video, of him not being in the high chair. They could never produce a video for me. At that moment, I knew my baby was sitting in a high chair 24/7. You know what I'm saying? So by then, I was already working on him getting his diagnosis and all of that. But I pulled him from the daycare and I lost my job, which I was fine with that because my baby comes first. And I'm not, nobody ain't gonna hurt my baby on that level to the point where I'm pulling up and you got to tell me something bad. And I ended up pulling him. Aiden went viral on TikTok. A teacher, a teacher wrote me and she said, oh my God, I am so happy to see Aiden and that he got the tools and the help that you were able to get him from ABA therapy. She was like, I'm so glad you pulled him from that daycare. She said, my job, she wrote this to me up under a comment. And I gotta find a screenshot. But she told me, she said, they used to keep him in a high chair all day, every day. And I tried to tell the owner, and she said the owner ignored me. And then she was like, the director said, oh, he has to be in there because he's gonna walk over the kids or take the plate, take the food off of the other kids' plate, stuff like that. That's what she was saying to them. Mind you, I started crying because I'm like, y'all really had my baby in the damn high chair all day like that? Like, that is so messed up. And even Miss Connie used to tell me sometimes Aiden would not go to sleep and she would just keep him, like that was her right hand man. She was like, I would keep him next to me, which leads me to this story. They held his baby down. They held his baby down, y'all, because he would not go to sleep and blamed it on the weighted blanket. We're gonna let this young lady, tell the story. I found this video on TikTok because ignore me because I'm getting in my feelings again. But I'm gonna play this video.
The Missouri community is devastated and outraged to learn about the death of a 3-year-old nonverbal child that happened at a daycare under questionable circumstances. This is Conrad Ashcraft, and he attended the Poppy's Playhouse Daycare in Park Hills, Missouri. It happened on Friday, May 16th. His mom, Tara Williams, had gone to the daycare at around 4:15 in the afternoon to pick him up just like any other normal day. She was told that he was still taking his midday nap, so according to family members, she found him laying on his stomach on the floor outside of a bathroom covered with a weighted blanket. And when she reached out to roll him over, she noticed he was cold, stiff, and not breathing. Additionally, his arms and face were already a dark purple color, indicating that he had been deceased for several hours. Amidst all the chaos, a family member overheard a conversation between law enforcement and a staff member where the staff member told them there's an employee at that daycare who is known for holding children down who don't want to take a nap. Interviews with parents of other children in that classroom told law enforcement that their kids had told them Conrad was in trouble that day because he didn't want to take a nap. They also reported that the staff member sat on him and held him down with her legs until he was still. Now, this is Spring Gray. She's the owner of that daycare facility, and apparently other parents had previously gone to her with concerns, but she would always downplay them or just ignore it. This is outside of the daycare. Apparently it shut down for a few days, but opened back up today. Spring sent out 2 messages to the daycare families, one on Friday and the other on Saturday. And they both pretty much say that there was a medical emergency that happened that resulted in a tragedy, but trust that she and her staff followed protocol and immediately took action to do everything that needed to be done. Now, this is part of a text thread from a parent who had taken their daughter to that daycare back in September, and she only kept her kid there for 1 day because apparently there's a staff member there named Tiffany who hit her daughter, and when she talked to Spring about it, she severely downplayed what happened and made excuses for her. And I'm going to read this part to you. It's where this mom had asked Spring about Tiffany sitting on the kids to go to sleep, and this is what Spring said. She tried playing it down, saying, "Oh, I know what Tiffany said sounded really bad, but it really isn't as bad as it sounded. Some kids just have a really hard time sleeping compared to others, so we will put our legs across them to help weigh them down to sleep. We don't usually do this with normal kids, mainly just the autistic kids, like," which she then felt the need to, for some reason, tell me a child sitting there by name was autistic. I put the blank as the child's name. Some kids just need that stimulation. Like, for example, we have some kids that touch themselves sexually at nap time and it just helps them sleep. It's all about the stimulation. And I do want to point out that Spring Gray is a member of the Parks Hill City Council. So in order to avoid any kind of influence, the city has referred the investigation to a different department. There haven't been any kind of criminal charges yet, but I will make sure to keep you guys updated. I mean, obviously that staff member needs to be arrested and charged. And in my opinion, that entire daycare needs to be shut down.
Her name is Abby Lynn 0715. Abby, do we have the same birthday? But her name is Abby Lynn. Go follow her. She has a lot of very informative videos about different things that goes on throughout the United States and different communities. So let's talk about this video about Conrad. That is just so sad because number one, when we send our babies off to school or daycare, ABA, we want our kids back in one piece, soundly, happy, no marks on them. Sometimes they're going to have marks because they are rough. Like they fall, they run into stuff, like they're having a good time. But we don't expect someone like at the daycare or whatever center it is to abuse our babies. Like we want our kids to come back in one sound. For that lady for that mom to have to go to this daycare and find her baby unalive is insane. And I can't even imagine how that mom feels. Like I can't even put myself to think what she feels. I only know from my experience what I felt, and I was heartbroken that my baby was being treated like that at a daycare. I don't know who Tiffany is, but Tiffany ain't got no business putting her hands, wrapping her legs or anything. I don't put my own legs on my baby at all to give him any type of stimulation. We have a weighted pillow, we have a weighted blanket, and that's as far as that goes. Like I'll squeeze him when he's up and he asks for a squeeze. That's pretty much it. We also got a weighted vest, a compression vest. We have those things. But to just physically put your legs or your body weight on a child and then you left that baby on the bed for how long? And the mom said that the cot was in front of the bathroom. So basically you moved that bed. You knew my baby was unalive and you moved his bed to the hallway in front of the bathroom so you can continue to teach your class. You didn't think my son was still asleep. And after so long, if you know a child doesn't sleep a long time. Number one, why aren't you checking on that baby? Like, you should be constantly checking to see what's wrong with that baby. Number two, why haven't you called me to say, hey, your baby has been asleep longer than expected. Could you come up here? Aiden at ABA, Aiden's sleeping for 30 to 40 minutes. And they are constantly checking on him. When he don't sleep, they're not like, oh, well, we forced him to go to sleep or we did this, that, and the third. They're like, hey, we're going to have to work out some kind of time, maybe bring him later because he's not going to sleep. Like, they're figuring out something. Miss Connie at the daycare said when Aiden did not go to sleep, that was her right-hand man. She didn't force him to go to sleep. And I know here in Georgia, it's illegal to try to force a baby to go to sleep. Like, it's not required for them to go to sleep when they at the daycare. So I'm pretty sure that is probably nationwide, because you can't force a baby to go to sleep. But my prayers go out to that mom because she didn't expect that when she went to go pick her baby up. Nobody expects anything bad or any type of harm to their kids when they go and pick a baby up from a place that they consider a safe place or a second home. Let's be real, these kids spend more time at school or at the daycare or ABA center or a therapy center more than they do at home because they're there for at least 7 or 8 hours. They come home in the afternoon. They're with us, 48 hours for the weekend? Because the weekend ain't that long. So it's like I've chosen this place to be my child's safe place, to be comfortable. I feel safe at work while my child is there, knowing that when I go pick him up at 4 or 5 o'clock, he's gonna be okay. And that's what that mom felt. And for the daycare owner, that message really bothers me. The fact that she thinks that it's okay because the child is autistic that she can put their legs, they can put their legs across a baby to give them that stimulation. And for her even to say, oh, some of them require touching themselves. Baby, if my baby put his hands down there in the public, remove it. Like, it's no stimulation that my baby should be doing like that, and you allow it. So to me, they are just sick in general. And I really hate this because I stand 10 toes down that the daycares, they don't have the tools for our babies. They don't have the patience for our babies. Um, my preschool or daycare that I went to in Albany, Miss Peters, I remember when I first talked to her about Aiden's diagnosis, she's like my other family. She asked me all these questions. She was like, well, did they call Eastern Stills? Did they call Baby Can't Wait? Did they give you a test? Like, did Marcus Autism Center come out there? I was like, no. Like, I didn't know all of this stuff could take place. She was like, yeah, she was like, y'all didn't know when y'all were kids, but she said I had a couple of special needs kids and kids on the spectrum at the daycare. And she said Eastern Stills came out and trained them properly, gave them the tools to work with those babies. Marcus would come down the whole time. They would come down for a week and give them training. Baby, I ain't never heard of nothing like that at a daycare. Like, they were really trying to just brush off that, oh, ain't nothing wrong with him, and I hear time and time again of stories of, oh, the daycare don't want my kid there. The daycare said this, like on Threads, this young lady said that the daycare, she called the daycare and they said they don't take kids on the spectrum. She was upset. Ma'am, why are you upset? Be grateful that this lady did not just take your money and was being money hungry and said, I don't take kids on the spectrum. Yes, it can be a liability. Like, y'all have to understand they don't have the tools for our babies. They don't have the proper training. They should be getting some because autism is at a high, and a lot of kids are being diagnosed, whether they're level 1, 2, or 3. They have sensory issues. They don't like to go to sleep. They don't like certain foods. It don't matter what level they're on. They all experience certain things, and you need to be well prepared for that. And these daycares aren't. And I love when I had these sincere people say, "Oh, I want to open up a daycare for autism people, not for a money grab." Because I feel like when you do it for a money grab, you ain't gonna take care of our babies because you like get them in and get them out, and that's how I look at it. But moms, if a daycare rejects you, be glad. Like, I wish those schools would have said, "Hey, Aiden's showing signs of autism. We don't know if he have it right now, but we don't have the mental capacity, we don't have the patience, and we don't have the tools to help you with services." Like, if they would have told me that, that would have made me feel so much better. But they didn't tell me that. Like, they mistreated my baby and just made him feel isolated. Like, I can't imagine how my baby really felt. Like, even if he didn't have feelings, for me, it breaks my heart to know that y'all had my baby in a high chair for 8 hours a day, like, or in a crib by himself, isolated from other kids. If he would have played with him or not, I don't care if he didn't play with him. But it just shows you time and time again, baby, keep y'all kids out of them daycares because they ain't got the tools. And I will repeat that over and over again. Daycares do not have the tools for kids on the spectrum, probably special needs kids, any type of special needs kid. But we're talking about autism right now. And that baby was nonverbal. Imagine what was going on in his head to try to get her off of him. Imagine somebody holding you down. She probably big as hell, had that baby locked down, and he couldn't even express himself to say, "Get off of me," or "This hurts," or just something. You know what I'm saying? He couldn't tell her that, but you're on top of him at your big grown age on a 3-year-old that's nonverbal. And imagine the thoughts that was going through his head. I don't care what y'all say, them kids think very hard, they have emotions, and they feel everything. Aiden feels every emotion, I'm telling you. And they sit back and they observe, and he couldn't even tell his mom that they were mistreating him because he probably didn't even know. He probably didn't even have, he probably couldn't even cry to the point to be like, "I don't like going here." I know for mine, he'll cry if he don't like it. And we ain't got to go off rip. That's currently going on at speech and occupational. But that's all I want to talk about. I don't know if it's any updates at this moment. I just saw that one video of her talking about the story, and prayers to that mom because that is a different type of feeling because I'm sure she's playing in her head everything she felt, or if she just thought anything, or if she saw a bruise on him. Like, that mom guilt and that those flashbacks are very hurtful, and she has to deal with that, and I feel so bad for her. But that's why I think it's very important to express to people like they caring for our babies. And I know we want inclusion and we want our kids to be included and not pushed out, but sometimes them being excluded is for the best. And I know I'm going to get a lot of backlash when I say this, but if I have to do a, yes, he's coming here whether you like it or not, or why you can't take him, and you've already told me why you can't accept him, I'm going through all that. You told me you can't accept him, so whatever happens, on your watch with my baby, that's on me. I'm not doing that. It schooled my child for his safety. And that's how I feel about it. And a lot of moms may disagree. I believe in inclusion for certain things, but when it comes to daycare, it schooled my baby out the picture. Don't take him. Leave him that way with us. And I'll make ends meet and I'll make it work. And I know everybody can't do that, but y'all make sure if you do put them in daycare that they have the tools for kids on the spectrum. So we won't have to deal with things like this because this is just so sad. And I hate that for this mom. So that will be our TikTok. Ugh, I can't talk. TikTok talks for Tuesday for today. Please comment below and let me know how you all feel about this situation because it's really sad. And how can we avoid this? What tools do daycares need? Like, what trainings do they need to help our babies? Like, what do you all think could help? Because every child may not like ABA therapy. Every child may can't get into an ABA therapy center, and parents have to go to work. Like, that's what it is, and they don't have an option with the daycare. So, what are some things that y'all feel like daycares can do? Maybe hire an RBT. Like, I think that would be so smart. If a daycare at least had two RBTs there to help with the kids on the spectrum, that would be so amazing. Like, that would take daycare's next level. I think autism daycares just only for kids on the spectrum, that would definitely help us too. So yeah, comment below and let me know what y'all think. Show this video to others. We'll share it. Turn on your notification button for my next video. And I will see y'all next time. Bye.